Hi, what can you help me with? Are you overwhelmed trying to keep up with your daily tasks? I spend countless hours each week on tedious work that keeps me from focusing on what really matters. And when you're handling repetitive tasks manually, you're not just wasting time, you're missing massive opportunities to scale your business or just reclaim your personal time. Well, I've been testing Make.com's brand new AI agents, and I have to say, it has completely transformed my workflow overnight and become one of my favorite tools. The best part? I built a fully functioning custom AI agent with zero coding skills. In this video, happily also sponsored by Make.com, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I created a custom AI assistant that I can chat with directly through Slack. I truly believe that you can now, as a relative beginner, create your own AI agent and handle virtually anything with it. Whether you need a personal assistant managing your calendar and tasks, a customer service rep handling inquiries, or in my case, a content creation assistant who writes, researches, scripts, and repurposes content across platforms and interacts with my Notion system. Think about this. Industry leaders like OpenAI's founders recently predicted in an article that AI agents will define the next decade and their impact will exceed that of the Industrial Revolution. Those of us who adopt this technology first will probably have an overwhelming advantage, and right now, you actually have the opportunity to be ahead of this wave. The barrier to entry has never been lower and the potential rewards have never been higher. So let me show you how to join the AI revolution with this full tour of my build before everyone else catches on. Welcome back to Better Creating. Trust me, this one's a good one. First of all, this is what it looks like to use day to day. We're in my Better Creating Slack channel and I have a BC content agent. So I'm going to speak to it. Hi, I'd like to research a video on procrastination and distractions and the best books that can help you with good strategies to avoid it. Send that. We've got a reply and it's asking me for the focal point, research depth, and the type of output. So it has, as you can see, created a bullet pointed summary. It's given me references with key ideas and some recommended books. It suggested a focus and a conclusion. I could actually get it to go on and fully script a video based on guidelines and style guides that I've uploaded. But for now, let's add it to the Notion Knowledge Hub. So I'm going to say, please go and add this to the Notion Knowledge Hub. Okay, great. You can see that it's added to the Knowledge Hub. Let's go and take a little look, shall we? Here we are in Better Creating, Moment of Truth. Let's go into Knowledge and Clippings. And we've got Simon research sets, and sure enough, there are our understanding procrastination and distractions. I can click in here, we can see strategies and recommended books, and all the information is in there. Pretty powerful stuff. And what I love about using Notion for this is then I can directly relate things to outputs that I'm working on. So for example, this one, the exact system I use to overcome procrastination, that seems like a great video to link it to. So I now have all this information created by my assistant. I can click through into the item and under knowledge for the video plan, I'll find my notes. Now, to create an AI agent in Make, there are essentially 3 stages. First of all, you're going to need to set up the agent itself and give it its brief. Number 2, you're going to need to create some scenarios that the agent can call on to trigger by itself. Think of them as microservices that your agent can use. And number 3, you add a means to interact with it, with your agent, and trigger it each time you want to use it. And so now it's probably time to build it. So let's start with the first section, which is to create and brief your agent. Now, AI agents in Make can be created within this area. It's currently in beta, but you should now be able to access it on Make. Make.com, if you don't know, is a brilliant all-in-one automation tool where you can build scenarios for various different tasks. This is a previous video I made on an AI invoicing system. You connect modules and it can work with all of your existing connections to build out things to run your team. So if you're interested in learning more about Make, get over to make.com, and if you use my link in the description below, you can get 10,000 operations for free on a pro account when you first sign up. I really recommend it, and you're going to see it in action today. So we're going to go into AI agents here. We're going to create a new agent. We've got one I'm working on here, and this is the one I've been showing you, but let's do a new one. We're going to click create new agent. Now I could make mine with Anthropic, and then this is actually essentially my ChatGPT connection. But if you wanted to add a connection, you would click add, you would come into connection type, and then you've got the options to pick your preferred system. Now, all of this works through the API. So let's say you wanted to use OpenAI, you can then find the API key and connect it. So if I just quickly jump over to my platform for OpenAI and make sure that you're set up in order to use API keys down here, this is where you would create your API keys in this area. But essentially, if you go to billing, you just need to set up a little bit of money on your account so that payments for using the API for things like assistance are done through this. I have put $20 on it, and that's how far I've got in like months. So let's not make a new one, but go to my existing one. So we've configured it, made the connection, it'll end up looking like this, and this is where you would put in all of your instructions, which we'll talk about in a moment. But in agent settings, there's a couple of items here. Now, for this system, I'm actually using GPT-4o Mini. I think that's a really good model, powerful model, but it's also quite affordable. However, you may want to, when you're in here, ensure that you adjust a couple of these. I think this is set to like 300 on its recursion limit. I've taken mine down to 50, and as I understand it, this is really the number of times it can process information in one go. So if it, for some reason, got stuck in a loop, you might want to limit this to a low number. And I'm also keeping my iteration history at 10, essentially means it can reference the last 10 relationships that you've had with it as history to inform how it behaves. So that's a good setting, I would say, that's pretty safe. Okay, let's move on to briefing your agent. Now, if you're newer to this, some of this kind of language may be a bit tricky. So you might also want to just go over to, say, Gemini, and we can ask for a prompt. So for example, write me a system prompt for an AI personal assistant for my YouTube channel focused on these areas. But there you can see it. It's breaking down core responsibilities, but not limited to, key attributes, specific instructions. So use AI to help you with AI. That's actually a fantastic example. I'll show you mine now. I've got agent role in here. I've got my primary functions. So I've given it specific tasks that I want it to perform. I've then got a tone of voice, and I have specific instructions for each primary function. This is things like required information that it might need. And I've actually, you'll see later, linked the formatting of this to another element of the system. And then if we roll down, I've various instructions on each task. You can always pause the video if you want to kind of copy my approach. You can see it's going to do things like create tasks and add them to my Notion system. Then I've got general instructions, things like analyze incoming messages, verify, after completing something, ask me if I want anything else, that kind of thing. And just a quick rule on how it writes for different social platforms. Now, you do have the option to add specific instructions to where you use the AI agent as well. For example, if we go into my scenarios and look at something we're going to look at later, which is how we run it, when you're actually using the agent, if I jump into here, I've got the option to add additional system instructions here. Now, this could be a full set of prompts. So you keep your top level agent in one way, and then you have scenarios which you run in certain places with additional instructions. Just depends on how you want to interact with it. Now, I would say in general, when you're giving system prompts, focus on 5 things: agent role, its main functions, general instructions on how it behaves, tone of voice, and key rules. Next, I want to give it some style guides and some specific tools that the agent can actually use, such as access to, say, my Notion notes and clipping system or my task manager, where it can add tasks. And I'd also like to give it some key guides, which allow it to, say, look at brand guidelines, tone of voice for writing to help improve the agent's approach to to be really specific to what I want it to do. And here is a great example. This scenario will get my latest video transcript and URL from a Google Drive folder. It will get the contents of that document and send it to the agent so it can use that to repurpose things for socials. So all I really need to do when I'm in my Notion Content Manager is export my current script and send it to the Google Drive where I keep it. And I'm going to be building a full back catalogue of knowledge that will work as a kind of basis to build a AI better creating productivity coach for you lot to follow. And on that note, make sure you get subscribed here too for more great tech and productivity content. And that includes my full content manager and Notion Life OS systems that you could plug in like I have to work brilliantly with an AI like this. Okay, let's add some tools to our agent for it to use. And you'll see here, these are the system tools. Now we're not going to add here. You will probably need to make them first. So go over to scenarios and you'll see within scenarios, I've got a bunch of different things. Now, if you're already used to using Make, some of your builds might be huge like this. You know, they do lots and lots of different things. Actually, scenarios for agents can often be a lot smaller, like watch for a YouTube video, get the latest YouTube URL and send it to the agent. And I'm labeling them so that the agent can read them. So they're really, really simple. In scenarios, another good trick before you build them is to create yourself a folder, which is where you keep your agent sub-scenarios. So you can keep them in one place. And I think that's always a good way to do things. Now, a great example is something like this, research with perplexity. So let me show you how to do this. We're going to create a new scenario and name it so that it is clear what it is that it does. Researches general subjects with Perplexity AI. I'm then going to find Perplexity. I think this is a great one to add to your system because it's the best platform I'd found for up-to-date AI research. It will literally cite things, search the internet, find you great stuff. And we're going to use create a chat completion. Now, if you don't have a connection, you would need to add one. Same thing, I've put, I think, $5 on my Perplexity account. It's a bit more expensive than OpenAI, but this is just an example. You select your model, and I might select that as deep research. And then in message, you're going to put something, but we haven't actually got anything to put in it yet. So we'll do that in a little bit. I'm just going to save it. Well, we can't, but we'll leave it like that. So this is our first action we want it to take. Now, this little thing here is how it acts. And currently it's set to work every 15 minutes. So if we click on that, I want to set this to on demand. This is really important because it means that this AI can just use it whenever it wants. So we're going to save that. I'm then going to add an output and you're going to find scenarios and you want it to return an output. And what that's going to do is send the information back to the agent. Before we do this, we're just going to leave that as it is. So that's our scenario return module. Then we want to create inputs that would go into this. And it's kind of hidden. If you come down here, you'll see scenario inputs and outputs. Click on that and we're going to add an input. Now, this looks more complicated than it actually is. I want to name it in a way that the AI can understand it. Research focus points, for example. And I want to label it so that the AI knows what it does. And we want it to just be text. We're going to save that. Now, if I go into Perplexity and maybe refresh the connection just to make sure, and under messages, we add content and go to this little brackets, we then have scenario inputs. Click on research focal points, and that will just feed through from the AI its request to the system. And role, I think we're going to call it a user because you're speaking to Perplexity as a user. You can set max tokens and temperature. I'm kind of not doing that. You probably have some other things up here, which if you understand this stuff, you can do it, but I've just left it and it seems to have been fine and it's not cost me loads. So that's working. And I'll click save. Then I'm going to go into scenario and I want to add scenario output. Now we can add an item and this is research results, for example, and we'll go, this returns the results of a research request. Now you can have it as text and that would be fine, I think, and you can click save and essentially then you've built it. I would say, however, I have generally been using a little trick to make sure all the information comes back to the agent, and that is to, if we just unlink this, add another module and go to flow controls and just add an array aggregator. Select everything in it and click save. I'll explain this in one moment and link it to here. And when you return the research results, you might just want to put the entire flow in, save it. Now, what that's going to do is get everything that Perplexity returns in a big list and send it so that the AI has all the information that it needs. So there we go. I'm going to click out and save the changes. Now, because it's on demand and nothing's using it, we're safe to turn it on. And now go back to your agent. Let's add this to my primary agent as an example. And under System Tools, we can now click Add and find it. This is what we created. So I want to add this, but to do it, you can see it's telling me I need to add descriptions. So I'm going to add a description, something like that. Now it's got a description. I can click to add it and add it to the list. And that way, our assistant now has a new tool added to it. It's that description though that's most important, so it knows when to use it and what it does. A different example of this could be to send tasks of the results to Notion. And as you can see here in my system, I've got add tasks to Notion. You can see the same process, Notion, array, aggregator, and results. But here I've just got a little section which allows me to put stuff into the page created. So if you are unfamiliar with this, I would just create a new module. This one here is to create a database item. I find my database and then I can select it items, but I've updated this to be assigned to me, to set a status. You can see my inputs here are set as important. Due dates can all go in, etc., etc. I can specify the agent requires that information. And then you'll see within my inputs, I've got a various set of things. Just a good example, a date version. So in the due date one, the type is a date. You can have an entire collection of information set as important. If we look at this, this is essentially a yes, no, or empty. So true or false, Boolean. Set this to yes if the task is important. And there's the link, set as important. So I link that into the description and it kind of does it. So there you go. It takes all the information. It returns what it's done through here back to the agent. And then I've got a router, which allows me to do a first task before it sends the information back, which is append a page content. And what this is doing is it's just adding a paragraph of text into the new task that's created, which is to describe the task. So if there's any description of what I want doing. Now, as an example of that, if we come into my task manager, this one down here was created by the agent. It linked it all, it gave it a priority, it checked these as important and urgent, for example, gave the due date, and then in the body, I asked it to suggest steps to do the work, and that was all done by the AI agent. Okay, so that's all great. Our agent is now set up with tools and instructions ready to go, but now for the really fun part, without a way to talk to our agent, it's kind of just useless, right? And to do this, we need to create a scenario that connects our agent to some form of chat interface. Now, these were our sub-scenarios, right? These tools. But I've then made a second folder called Agent Operators. And in here, there's just one operator, which is the operation system that allows me to chat with it on Slack. Now, you don't have to use Slack. You could use Telegram. You could use WhatsApp down here. Telegram seems to be the easiest way to set it up from what I've seen. But I personally think that Slack is pretty simple to set up, but with the advantage of being able to be within your team workspace. So mine just sits within the Better Creating workspace, and I can see these lovely threads. I've been able to, style out the way it looks a little bit, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. And it all just gives me more scope in the future to grow because my team can come into here and they can actually interact with various sets of bots. And the way this works is that we actually link the agent to a specific Slack channel. So this content agent is linked to this one, but I could also create a productivity assistant channel and create a second version of the agent using one of these scenarios to link into it. And that's the point, right? If you've got one main agent, another approach to this would be to run an agent module and give it additional instructions, which are much deeper, that allow you to put all the content stuff in this one from your main agent and then have a second scenario that's for productivity or whatever you want it to be. So let me show you how to build this out so that you end up with this lovely system. I can ask it what it feels about make.com. It'll reply, it doesn't have personal feelings, but it can provide a summary of what it's good at. On that note, do check it out because I've been using this platform for absolutely years and it's a super powerful system. I run my business on it around managing email responses, connecting forms into my Notion system for template and support requests, and you can do so much with it quite simply, and they're offering you 10,000 operations for free when you sign up via my link below. So do go and check them out. And thank you to May for sponsoring this video. It was an easy yes. These agents really have transformed things for me. Right, let's build the agent. We're going to create a new scenario within our agent operators folder. The first thing I want to actually do is look for make AI agents. There it is. And we're going to add that module. There's only one, and this runs an agent. We're going to choose our agent. Now let's say that I want to set one up for my primary AI assistant, and you can see all the system tools that I've added to it. And I can add additional tools that are specific to this scenario. So again, I might want to just put general tools up there and then like content specific ones down here. I might reorganize this. And I think an essential part of the additional instructions for this part is to put this. You will receive a Slack message from the user. Please format your replies so that it can be sent to Slack. So we're going to leave the thread and the message until a bit later. Let's just save that. In fact, I'm going to rename this. Now, next we want to connect this to your Slack account. I'm going to do this in an unusual order just to ensure this works well for you. So we're going to find it in here by searching Slack. And I want you to actually add how it's going to communicate with the agent first, and that's to create a message. You're going to click that there so it links to this. And in this view, you want to set up a Slack bot connection. So when you add a new connection here, select the type as Slack bot. That is probably why you should do the create a message first, because this will allow you to select that. You then want to find the channel name, but that's going to come from the first part of the system. So once that's in there, we now want to create another Slack item, and you want to go down and find watch new events. We're going to move that to the front of the pile, and this allows you now to understand how this little thing works. Take this and place it on Slack and connect it. The next stage is to go over to your system here. I'm going to create a new channel. I'm going to start with a blank channel, and I'm going to call this, say I'm an personal assistant, and create that. Skip that for now. If we go back, we can now create a webhook. I'm going to name it the say I'm an PA Slack channel connection. New channel message. So it's going to watch for when there is a new channel message. I'm going to select my chatbot connection, find the channel as the personal assistant channel, and save it. That's going to create the webhook, and we're good to go. So we've connected the channel up, we're watching for new events, and we're ready to create a new message. Now we just need to fill in these other elements. To show you the rest of this, I'm going to go and show you my other setups. Let's just save changes. Let's go back to our scenarios into operators and go to the one that's turned on. There's our connection. Now, within our make agent, we're creating a little formula that essentially is going to focus this to make sure it only replies within a thread. And then in here, we're going to add the text. So the way you would do this is, if I just zoom out a tiny bit, for the message, I want to add text from the Slack bot. And that will be my message to the system. And this, you would essentially type into here, if empty, open brackets, thread timestamp, then a little semicolon, and then timestamp and close the brackets. You don't have to understand that, but I will help you understand that. If we go to my existing system here, you can see that each time I've messaged the assistant, it will reply in a thread. And this is allowing us to only keep a thread of conversation running in one place. So it means I can have a dialogue with it. Otherwise, what will happen is every time you message it, which I found happen up here, it will reply back to you in the main channel. And that's not what we want. You can see it went wrong here and it just went hello and it's its own thread. That's not helpful for us at all. And what that is doing for us is ensuring that. So you will find the thread stamp here, and otherwise you want the timestamp. If you want to go more in depth about how that works, check out one of the excellent videos that's on the AI agents page over here. Big shout out to Jan from 9X, who I learned a little bit of this from. So big props to him. But he didn't solve everything for me. So I'm going to show you a couple of other things. We've got that set up. So that's our text in. Then you're going to go to your message and you want to find the channel from the first unit. So we're going to go and find in here channel, and you would select it like that. Then for the text that it's sending us to the Slack channel, we want the response. That will be this, which comes from the make agent. And then the thread ID we want to take from here. I would then suggest that you just show advanced settings, and there's a bit of fun to be had down here. You can add a username under username, just type whatever you want it to say. And I recommend adding a icon emoji, and this will just make it look a little bit more convincingly the thing you want it to be, right? So you just do .teacher. If you want to find out how you do that, just search Slack emoji codes and you'll be able to work out how to do it, but just mess around. I picked teacher, and what we get with that, if we save it, that's my little icon and that is my content writer. You could technically now turn this on and test it. However, there is one significant problem, and that is this. Here, we're at the top of my original build, and you'll see that I started to see if it was there. And when I got it to work, it replied as me. So it did the right thing. Hi, this is what I can assist you with. So it was working. But here, it just kept replying to itself. It really got out of hand. So if that does happen for any reason, you do just kind of need to be ready and then just like immediately turn this off. This is what you need. It's a filter to stop itself replying. So what you would do here is click on this little button and click set up a filter, and you want to label it. I'm just calling it no self-reply. And then in here, I went to find the bot ID, drop it in. You might have to run it once and stop it in case. And you want the basic operator to be does not exist. Now, what that is doing is it's saying that if the message does not have a bot ID, it can go through. So i.e., I messaged from Slack and it went in. If it's got a bot ID, as in it came from the bot, don't send it back to the bot, right? That is your solution. So do not miss that. So once you have your no self-reply in, you're ready to go. Okay, you've created it. Now it's time to test it and troubleshoot it and actually turn this thing on. There's a couple of things that might come up when you do this. We're gonna demo this in a moment, but if you see this message, the scenario when you turn it on was deactivated by make. If we go to history, you can see it's failing for several attempts to do something. And I suspect that is because some of the tools are labeled wrong. So you need to make sure that your tools, and what I mean by that is scenarios, follow these rules. Between 1 and 64 characters, use A to Z, 0 to 9, underscores and hyphens. And I believe spaces are okay as well, because it's been working fine for me on that. Now you might get errors like this, a big record of errors. So if we turn it on, it will say, do you want to process old data or delete the old data? These are just the requests that have come through the webhook. Delete that. You don't need it and it will mess with it completely. So we're going to delete that. It's turned on and ready to go. Let's go and give it a go. I'm going to try it here first. There's our new agent, and you'll see I've had a few goes, and this is when I messaged it and it couldn't reply because of that issue. So let's go and see if it replies. Yes, it is there. So that's working now, but we've got a different problem, which is, as you can see, it's replying within the channel, not within the thread. And this could be another little thing you might miss. So if we now go back, we can see that it's worked. But if I look in my create a message section, you'll see the thread ID is missing, and that's probably why that is. So in here, we just want to add our thread ID. I'm going to click save, and let's save the scenario. I did a Control S. Well, let's try it again, and let's go to our phone this time. We're going to go in and see if it creates a thread. Can you help repurpose my latest video script, please? It's replied, and this time it's done it in a thread. Good news. Let's go in there, and here we go. It's actually done it. Let's repurpose your video from social media. Here's a plan. Created a Twitter thread. It's a little bit of a plan. LinkedIn post, TikTok post. Shall I finalize? What do you want me to do? And I'm going to say, let's just do a YouTube poll post. Let's see if it does it. The message is pretty cool for the poll on YouTube, but it's not included the URL of the video, which I'm trying to promote, and I always want it to do that. So that is a fix we want to do with the instructions for the agent. So if we go back here to our primary AI assistant instructions, I'm going to want to go and find my repurposing commentary. What I'm going to add here is a rule: when repurposing for YouTube posts, Twitter or newsletters, always mention the referenced video URL in that repurpose post to promote it. So by updating my system prompt, I should be able to improve the way it operates. Let's just give it a little go, shall we? Great. And now we have a much better version. Here's the updated poll. Have you tried Notion? And I'm liking that it says watch the full video here above it, and then we've got the options for the poll. Now, if you want to understand how it's done its thinking, we want to see if it's actually using the right information. You can do this. If you go back to your system, I come out here, and we can find the latest action here. If you click on that, there we go, we've seen a completion. If you click into this view, you can look at its execution steps down here. So let's just check what my message was. Let's do a YouTube poll, execution steps. And here is the full process of how this has operated. So if you open the first one, you'll see that the first thing was it was given its system prompt. Then the message, can you help me? And then it used the agent get latest video upload URL. That's good. The tool's been used successfully. There's the video transcript that it got from my Google Docs. And finally, it's created the post. So we know that it's functioning as we want it to function. Well then, the future belongs to those who can build intelligent systems around themselves, right? And now hopefully you're one of them. So what next? Well, first, remember to hit subscribe and turn on the notifications if you haven't already. But if you're serious about reclaiming your time and mental energy, this Make.com AI agent is just the beginning of a productive transformation. So before you go, if you found this valuable, you absolutely need to check out my next video where I'll show you how to build the comprehensive digital second brain system that sits alongside this. Click this video here and I'll reveal the headquarters it operates from. And if you want to get started right away, you can click on this link down the bottom to check out my Notion Life OS and other templates at bettercreating.com to fast track to your perfect Notion setup. See you on the next one.